Video number 60 now. So for this video, I thought I'd start off on a familiar theme in the book of Malachi. It says in Malachi chapter 3 and verse 2, "But who will be putting up with the day of his coming? And who will be the one standing when he appears?" So, are you putting up with it? That Jesus Christ has indeed come as a thief, divided families, taken people away out of that place of darkness, and he's now bringing them into his wonderful light? Are you putting up with that? If you are, then if we go down to verse 5, now in Malachi chapter 3, it says this, "And I will come near to you people for the judgment." So, is that happening? Are we being judged? And so if we are being judged, and you've understood the things in this video series, in the last 59 videos, then so far we've received mercy. Because we're not in that place where people will be perishing. We're not in the place where those people are carrying on a lie, the covenant with death. Millions now living will never die. So if we are putting up with all that and recognizing that, yeah, judgment is now happening. If you're one of those people putting up with all of that, I'll remind you what he said here in Malachi. Chapter 3, verse 6. "For I am Jehovah. I have not changed. And you are sons of Jacob, sons of the living God. You have not come to your finish. From the days of your forefathers, you have turned aside from my regulations and have not kept them. Return to me, and I will return to you. Jehovah of armies has said." So, this returning to Jehovah is also mentioned in the book of Jeremiah. And so, I'll go there now and read from Jeremiah chapter 3. And it says in verse 22, "Return, you renegade sons. I shall heal your renegade condition." Here we are, we have come to you, for you, O Jehovah, are our God. Truly the hills as well as the turmoil on the mountains belong to falsehood. Truly in Jehovah, our God, is the salvation of Israel. But the shameful thing itself has eaten up the toil of our forefathers from our youth, their flocks and their herds, their sons and their daughters. We lie down in our shame and our humiliation keeps covering us. For it is toward Jehovah our God that we have sinned, we and our fathers, from our youth on, and down to this day, and we have not obeyed the voice of Jehovah. So, should we feel humiliated because we were indeed renegade sons? Millions now living will never die. You positively will not die. The original sin. The same lie that Eve was convinced to believe in the Garden of Eden. We lie down in our shame, and our humiliation keeps covering us. Humiliating, isn't it? So, who's right? Is Jehovah right? Or are we? Are we right? I'm going to say that Jehovah's right. We really should feel humiliated. And we have been judged with mercy so far. Return, you renegade sons. I shall heal your renegade condition. So, let's keep going now in Jeremiah chapter 4. He says something similar right here in verse 1. If you would return, O Israel, is the utterance of Jehovah, you may return, even to me. So, he's asking people that have been renegade and humiliated to return to him. Isn't that amazing? Do you understand the extent of mercy that's being extended to us? Maybe you don't, but I hope you do, because it's important. If you would return, O Israel, is the utterance of Jehovah, you may return, even to me. And if you will take away your disgusting things on my account, then you will not go as a fugitive. And if you will certainly swear, as Jehovah is alive in truth, in justice, and in righteousness, then in him the nations will actually bless themselves. And in him they will boast about themselves. So it's not just mercy. It's not just mercy being extended to us. There's a blessing. A blessing. Do you see how Jehovah's name can be beautified? So, it says, and if you will certainly swear, as Jehovah is alive in truth, in justice, and in righteousness. So, who's telling the truth? Is it the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society with its governing body? Perhaps it's another Christian denomination. Perhaps the Pope and the Roman Catholics or the Orthodox. Maybe it's a Protestant denomination, perhaps Baptists, Methodists, Lutherans, Adventists, Pentecostals. Are they telling the truth? Or is Jehovah telling the truth? And is there justice? Is it just for Jehovah to make an extermination throughout all the land? Millions now living will never die. You positively will not die. Here we are in modern times, and we've done the exact same thing that Eve did in the Garden of Eden. So, would it be a just thing for Jehovah to make a decision, a judicial decision, to cause an extermination throughout all the land? Think about that. Is it just? And would you swear by it that Jehovah would be completely justified in doing that? For 2,000 years since Jesus Christ came, and now look at the end result. People being deceived by Satan in the exact same way that Eve was deceived right at the beginning. That's so humiliating. So, yeah, if we go to near the end of Jeremiah chapter 4, it says this in verse 27. For this is what Jehovah has said, a desolate waste is what the whole land will become. And shall I not carry out a sheer extermination? Would that be justice? Would you swear that Jehovah's judicial decision to cause an extermination throughout the land would now be a just thing for him to do? Would you stand in front of him and say, oh no, we weren't deceived by Satan? Or would you be humiliated, completely humiliated at the thought that, yeah, we were all deceived by Satan himself, and we can't see the true extent of his mercy? What would you swear by? The governing body? The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society? your government? Would you swear by maybe a corporation? Would you swear by a Protestant church and what they tell you? The elders in your kingdom hall, would you swear by that? Who is right? Is it you? Is it me? Or is it Jehovah? Who would be in the right to make this decision concerning justice? Could you swear by that? That Jehovah is telling the truth and that his decision is just. And so this is what it goes on to say. Well, let me start again from verse 2. And if you will certainly swear, as Jehovah is alive in the truth and in justice and in righteousness, then in him the nations will actually bless themselves, and in him they will boast about themselves. And it goes on now to say in verse 3, for this is what Jehovah has said to the men of Judah and to Jerusalem, plow for yourselves arable land, and do not keep sowing among thorns. Get yourselves circumcised to Jehovah and take away the foreskins of your hearts, you men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, that my rage may not go forth just like a fire, and it certainly burn with no one to do the extinguishing, on account of the badness of your dealings. So, if we plow for ourselves arable land, then what is that arable land? So if you think about all of the things that you've learned about sin, all of the evidences you've seen concerning sin, and then therefore also concerning justice in regards to that same sin, and regarding the truth, regarding righteous things, then could you swear that Jehovah is a righteous God who understands justice? And who would be most likely to understand if you were to sow seed and plow arable land? If you explained all these things to an atheist, would they understand them? Or a Roman Catholic, would they understand? If you plowed, say perhaps a Presbyterian or a Pentecostal or an Adventist, would they understand if you sowed seed? So where is this arable land? Who would understand all of these things concerning sin, concerning righteousness, and concerning justice? Who would understand, even understand these things, if you were to plow this arable land? Isaiah chapter 66 helps us understand where that arable land really is. Let me read it for you, even though I'm sure you know it. It's right here, Isaiah 66 and verse 5. Hear the word of Jehovah, you men who are trembling at his word. So, are you, after this video, trembling? You should be. Your brothers that are hating you, that are excluding you by reason of my name, said, may Jehovah be glorified. He must also appear with rejoicing on your part. And they are the ones that will be put to shame. Can you see the arable land? Here in the last chapter of Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, an end time prophecy. So if you're going to plow and sow seed, who would understand all of these things concerning that same sin? Millions now living will never die. The truth, who would understand it now? And who would understand things pertaining to justice? Ex-Jehovah's Witnesses? They'd understand. But what about the people left behind in the kingdom halls? The brothers hating you and your families that are shunning you? They should understand too. The arable land, the 10th part. And so it said in Jeremiah chapter 4 that the nations would be blessed by this. So, to finish this video, I'll remind you what it said in Malachi. You know, where Jehovah asks the sons of Jacob to return to him. In Malachi chapter 3 verse 12. And all the nations will have to pronounce you happy, for you yourselves will become a land of delight. Jehovah of armies has said. And in Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 2, it says, and if you will certainly swear, as Jehovah is alive, in truth, in justice, and in righteousness, then in him the nations will actually bless themselves, and in him they will boast about themselves. So, will you boast about yourself? Will you return to Jehovah? And do you agree that when there is an extermination, it's a just thing to do? Will you swear by it?